Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Future Fest 2024. This panel has been gathered all around the world to talk about a very relevant topic. The topic is where global innovators unite and empowering tomorrow's startup stars. We have with us distinguished guests from all over the world. This is one of the most uh, uh, kind of differentiated audience that we have right now. So I'll just quickly introduce myself, and then I will pass it on to the panelists to introduce themselves, and then we will get down to our discussion. So my name is Aaqib Sayed. I work for a company called TPL Maps. I head the growth department, which entails marketing and enterprise sales. Now, I would like
COO of Traveloka. Traveloka is a leading online travel company in Southeast Asia. Thank you.
Okay, I will go ahead next. I'm Nodo, co-founder and CEO of MetaViu, which is the largest gamified experiences marketplace covering social gaming platforms like Roblox, Fortnite, Zepeto, Decentraland, and Sandbox. We are integrating brands into those platforms and empowering game creators on the other side. Besides that, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and last 2 years actively started angel investing in startups and scaling globally many interesting companies and advising them how to do that. Happy to be joining this panel.
Okay, I will go next. Thanks, Akib, and thanks everybody for the invitation. My name is Nikola, and I'm also serial tech entrepreneur. I live in Serbia, but like when you are an entrepreneur, you need to travel across the globe. So I'm running software development company called Bridgewater Labs, and we are a team of more than 50 full-time employees. We work with the companies from small startups up to Fortune 500. And that's one part of the business. And the second part of the business is sort of venture studio, where we use all of our expertise to build our own products. Let's call them startups. And we always try to identify the problems in some micro niches and then offer a solution. So also, I am actively involved as a startup mentor in some Techstars or Google Launchpad weeks or on different in Asia and in Europe. So yeah, long story short, that's it.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. My name is Aiman Kabli. I'm originally from Saudi Arabia. I grew up in the US. And as Nikola said, as an entrepreneur, I'm traveling all the time, usually around 20 to 30 countries per year that I travel. And what I do currently, I manage a online community known as FELS, which is the Flourishing Entrepreneurial Lifestyle. It's basically to share inspirational and motivational content among young entrepreneurs. And also, I'm a co-founder of an online platform called Elevator, which helps connect between startups and investors. And I'm happy to be on this panel.
Lars, you're next.
Thank you. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here. I think travel is what connects us. So although we're here virtually, let's meet up face-to-face again next time. I'm the private lead and director of Rotterdam, which is the largest scale-up program in the Netherlands. We help startups get to scale. We've been doing that since 2019, and with quite a bit of success, I must say. And I do that on the basis of scaling a company myself and also actively investing in over 25 companies to date.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your background and introduction. It makes me feel I'm in great company. I have a little contribution to the startup community in Pakistan by contributing and being a mentor for the last 6-7 years. And I think we got a great panel to kick off the discussion. So we'll start with Alfan. So Alfan, you've been around, you've seen most of the things in the startup ecosystem, but But how do you feel that you're currently contributing and aligning with the challenges and the product goals that you see startups having? And how do you think it aligns with your broader purpose and mission with this?
Yes, thank you, Akib. So right now, we are building an enterprise SaaS network tailored for Southeast Asia. So our portfolio now has expanded to include 2 SaaS companies. We continue to find more high potential firms to bring into our portfolio. So the strategy is clear. We recognize that many SaaS providers, despite offering high quality problem solving products for the enterprises, they stumble when it comes to market penetration due to limited sales expertise. So our acquisition model address this gap directly. We don't just inject capital, we infuse vital competencies into this company, including the bolstering their sales force, enhance their skill, set up sales engine, instilling a culture of organizational excellence. So by doing this, so we not only elevate the individual potentials of each of the company that we acquire, it strengthens actually the collective progress of our network. And also we believe by doing so, we build the talent available overall in the market to continue to propel SaaS industry forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think the next thing that I have in mind is kind of linked with this. So you've scaled platforms globally at Traveloka, and then you had your entrepreneurial ventures like SG House and Voucher Hotel. What do you think, like, if we were to advise the startups listening to us right now, what do you think are those couple of key insights that you can provide to them for their own ventures when they're scaling, locally and when they plan to scale globally? Can you give us some insights that can help these future founders?
Definitely. For context, so Traveloka is a leading travel technology company in Southeast Asia. I had the privilege of being part of the journey right from the outset, from the early days. My experience there from the early stages of the company into expansion into a multi-billion-dollar valuation company with thousands of employees give me some invaluable lessons. So there are 3 insights I want to share from the time I have in Traveloka, which I believe are essential for the next generation of the startup leaders to succeed. First is that you need to build and scale organizational excellence. As a founder, it's natural to assemble a strong initial team. However, when the startup continue to grow and expand, the challenge shift from scaling this hiring individuals to scaling this excellence across the growing organizations. You have managers, you have manager of managers. So you need to continue to scale the excellence. This requires very thoughtful consideration of the culture of the company you want to establish. You want to communicate strategically what is the right channel, what are the message to the organizations. It's very crucial to incentivize the right behaviors or mindset that is aligned with your company's values and goals. And the focus is not just growth in numbers, but also maintaining the quality and the ethos that make your organization, your startup, excellence in the early days. The second item here is, second point is the courageous leadership is very critical. Journey of startup is often unpredictable. The leaders must display the courage in various forms, include making decisions in the absence of complete data, engaging in difficult conversations, and taking accountability for the outcome of those decisions. So such courage is very fundamental in navigating the uncertainties and challenges of leading a startup. It's about being bold and yet responsible, and having the tenacity to face and overcome the obstacles that comes. And the third is embrace and drive continuous innovation. Startup landscape is very dynamic. You need to constantly innovate and adapt to the market changes. So as a leader, fostering this culture of continuous learning and flexibility is very important, it's essential. Encourage your team to experiment and take calculated risks. Embrace the success and failures as the learning opportunities. To remain competitive, keep updated of the industry trends, get customer feedback, understand the technology advancement. So continue being open to change and ready to pivot when necessary is very critical for sustaining the growth. This fuels the business progress, motivates and energizes your team also, as they see the ideas and efforts contribute to the company's evolution and success. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think this was very, very insightful. I think the key thing, one of the things that I picked up was alignment with the culture, and how do you really plan to excel with a team, because I think while scaling, I think you need to have that right fit with the things that you're trying to execute. So thank you so much, Alfan, for this feedback, and I think people in the audience would love to know more about this and your journey moving forward. So just connecting with what Alfan was saying, Lars, I would like to know, like, you've seen kind of both sides, and very, very directly involved in the ecosystem in Netherlands. What are those meaningful things that you've seen in your journey that you think aligns with helping global founders in remote locations to kind of have some meaningful impact on their startups? Can you just give us a little like a few tips on this, which can help our audience kind of understand this better?
Yeah, sure. And I think I must say I must start with saying that every startup is unique, right? So, and I think also every journey for every founder is different. But I do think there are some key lessons that we've learned in supporting startups in our region, but also when I've been investing in them. And we often talk about the three pillars that you have in a company to make it successful, where I would say the first pillar, obviously, is customers, right? So who are your potential customers that you're going for? How are you validating those needs? And really, how do you grow that and move that forward? Also, when you go internationally, figuring out the right market. So I would say, whatever you do, start with your customer first. That will definitely help you drive success. The second pillar then is, how do you find, and I think Alfan already talked about that a little bit, how do you find the right people around you? So how do you get the right talented people to join you on your journey? Running a startup can be a lonely job, so make sure you have a co-founder that supports you and that also has different skills than you have, and then build your team as you go forward, indeed creating a great culture. And then I would say the third part, if you need it, is how are you going to fund your business? So understanding the way that you need capital to grow your business. That might be that you're bootstrapping, that you're just creating some revenue or working from clients, or that you need venture capital, angel investors, or perhaps grants. So I think what we've learned is the sooner you start thinking about what kind of funding you need when, the higher the likelihood of you being successful. And then obviously, as that grows. But I think actually the most important part, and that's often forgotten, that should be on top, is find your peers. So go to a great event like FutureFest to meet with other founders and other people. But I also highly encourage to look up for mastermind sessions where you learn from other founders. And I think what I've seen is the founders that have been able to create a support group around them from other founders, but also from mentors, from coaches, are the ones that grow the fastest because they're learning the fastest. So get your clients, get your talent, get your capital, and then finally, the fourth point is find other founders that you can relate to.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I think that kind of gives a perspective of how to kind of baseline and structure what you're building on. But connected to this, with your time at Merkle and your time at Blue City, and also working within your current mission. One question that predominantly pops up in local startup community is when they're looking at global GTMs, like when they're actually trying to plan to actually practically scale. And I'm not talking about when people are saying we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Not one of those, but when actually they're planning down, what would you tell them to be wary of when they're planning for a potential market that they feel that deem fit? But
yeah.
what would you tell them to just be careful of?
Yeah, so what I tell them first is talk to other founders and customers, right? That's always where it starts. But I think what we've learned in the conversations and also in helping founders, and quite frankly also learning from founders that have failed, it is to keep focus. So from a strategic point of view, first figure out what with your product is the ideal market to go for next. And obviously an ideal market is a market that has a substantial volume, but also a substantial likelihood of you being successful there, right? So I think those two components really help you to figure out which market or markets fit you best. So that's more about the strategy. And then the second part is then about focusing. So I've seen quite a few startups that then go like, oh, well, you know, we'll pick 3 or 4 countries and we'll do that in the next year. And I think what we've learned is rather pick one market, go in there, do your first validation, see if it works, and then scale it up. And once you have that rolling, and once you have substantial traction in that market, then move to the next one in your roadmap. Because otherwise you might be scattering your time over these multiple markets. So that would be my my one piece of advice on top of figuring out which market to go to.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think this also kind of validates something that I had in my head before coming to Netherlands. And I think really adds value because I think we all you know, on different forums need practical advice, and I think it couldn't be more practical than this. So picking up from there, Nikolai, I would definitely like to know what you think when you look at the side of startups and founders and where you operate. What do you think is purely aligned with the way you operate today? And what do you think is that alignment between your objectives and the community around you in startups?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to say, you know, like the guys before me, you know, said many different things so far, you know. But if I need, and what Lars said about the focus, you know, sometimes most of the founders are switching focus from left to right, and one of my goals is basically to switch my focus building my venture studio, you know, because in the next year or two, I really believe that that consulting or outsourcing segment, you know, it's really hard to differentiate your company from many other companies. And basically, you know, like I always like to say that doing consulting and doing outsourcing, we make someone else's dreams become true, right? So since we also have a lot of our ideas and we identify a lot of problems in this world that need someone's attention, and also we already built some cool tech solutions for other people. We believe also that we can find those problems, identify them, and offer a solution in a way of technology, right? So also that focus definitely will be on our venture studio, where we'll put all our previous expertise, efforts, energy, money, and everything to build different tech products. And I didn't mention in my intro, but most of our portfolio and expertise comes from 4 verticals. It's health tech, ed tech, like educational technology, also food tech and fintech. And I believe that we want to add artificial intelligence in those industry. And I will just give one example. We are using artificial intelligence to build a health tech product that help doctors, just one of them, to identify pathogen conditions of blood vessels. And we also help doctors to educate themselves using a virtual ultrasound machine through web browser. So you can imagine how it saves some time and the money to the hospitals, to the doctors, and everyone else. Of course, some certifications and continuous medical education is there as well. And if you're talking about the food tech, we strive to make food safer for consumers using fully traceability, sustainability, blockchain, and so on and so on. So from the farm, you know, for example, you know, to your plate and to the fork, right? So we have some successful examples already, but a lot of those products require a lot of R&D, right? So yeah, that will be definitely our focus with full of company and my team.
Awesome. So I think this brings me, I think while you were talking about your vertical, I think a few of them are very, very big in the Southeast Asian economies and in the Asian economies. A lot of people are kind of focusing on ed tech. A lot of focus is on health tech to the next step. So I think it really compels me to kind of, what do you say, going off the script, but I couldn't stop myself asking, like, what would be those successful traits that you see in founders that you see working with can be replicated by founders right here in Pakistan or any other country in the world to stick by, because we don't really get that advice every day. It's a rarity that I've been, honored to speak to you guys, got this chance to actually understand all of it. But what would be those 3, 4 fundamental successful traits that you've seen in founders, and you want to tell people that, guys, like, apart from focus, what Lars spoke about, Alfan spoke about culture. So I think what would be your view on what founders should follow as leaders and founders?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. Sometimes some people are saying $1 million question, right? Let's start like this. I believe that COVID changed everything. That's my perception. What I mean by that, all of us got a lot of competitors, equal new founders who didn't have a job anymore, right? Especially Horeca sector, like hotel, restaurants, cafes. When COVID hit, they didn't have a job and they had a family, so they needed to find some new type of work, in order to survive. So the people who are hungry, the people who have that, who will always give that extra mile and who has motivation, to go forward, will always be better entrepreneurs or founders, than somebody who's just take that as granted, right? So, I really believe that finding the right people and putting them in the right seats is something that's the biggest challenge for everybody. I got lucky because we are a team of 50 something full-time employees, and 40% of those guys and ladies are with me more than 6 years. So especially in this kind of the turbulent sector, IT and everything, it's changed a lot. So what I try to do, I try to make them partners, and even when we hire somebody outside of the company, of course, I said, we don't give you a job, we give you a chance. Either you will use it or you will not use it. And I think that's really important, because if you find the right people, if you can recognize that they will always give extra mile, and that's what I do. All those ventures that we created, I gave some equity to my people. So they are not my employees, they are my partners. And I think that's really important, because my lifestyle will not change if I own 100% of the company, or 70 or 60 or whatever, right? So I will still hang out with them and enjoying my life, because entrepreneurs, they don't just work for money, they work for a freedom. So if you have right partners, you can rely on them. And at the same time, you also need to give them full responsibility for what they are doing. And then, you need to keep them accountable for something. And if you align that with the mission and vision of your company, and if you align the personal goals, setting OKRs, KPIs, and all other things, I believe that's a win-win factor, and you can replicate that in every country in this world. But finding those people, is really hard. So, and what Lars said, it's not just about the people, but I believe everything starts from there. Then after that, you need to, of course, have some money, but with right people, you can do it even without money at some stage. Later, for scale ups, you will need definitely help of some strategic partners or strategic money and everything else. So yeah, that would be it's all about people. Trust me.
No, I think that's I think the main point. I also believe that what you said about putting the right people in the right jobs, making them a partner of the success, providing them some achievable objectives, kind of give them that sort of purpose. And I think it perfectly aligns with the field that Aiman works in. And we just put that question to him. So Aiman, how do you do something very, very interesting? So what do you feel would be your alignment in terms of what you do today, with the fact that with this startup and ecosystem, and we'll get to the second. I can't wait for your response for the second one, but but can you shed some light of how FELS kind of align with founders and startups?
Well, thank you. And I think what I'm involved with is similar to what my esteemed colleagues here in the panel are also involved with, which is basically helping startups and founders to become better at what they do and to have a better chance of success. So at FELS specifically, FELS, as I mentioned, it's a global online community, which the full name is the Flourishing Entrepreneurial Lifestyle. It's a content movement, basically. So we publish content and we share and exchange content in the community that helps entrepreneurs, especially in developing countries. That's our focus market. Help them to become stronger in character and more resilient to face the challenges of entrepreneurship. And we do that by mainly focusing on the soft skills rather than the hard skills, because I think hard skills are too common nowadays. Everybody's teaching technical skills, how to pitch and how to do your sales and marketing and all that. But very rarely are people actually sharing content or advising entrepreneurs on the inner skills, the soft skills, like how to actually prepare your mind and body for the journey of entrepreneurship, to have that inner strength and the inner resilience. So that's what we try to do. And we actually publish the content very widely around the world. We have a set of regionally targeted social media channels covering all the developing regions of the world. And we publish content in 14 languages, including Urdu, including Hindi, Russian, Bahasa, like all the major languages of the world. And currently, in total, we have about 800,000 followers. So I think it's actually caught quite a good traction of people who seem to be hungry for this type of knowledge and to actualize themselves more and reach their help try to reach their goals more. So that's what we do through this movement. But also on the other hand, so this is mainly targeted for the younger entrepreneurs who are still starting out, obviously. So, I mean, it's kind of like early lessons for the aspiring entrepreneurs or the early stage entrepreneurs. But for the entrepreneurs who are already in the market and they're ready to pitch and they're ready to enter new markets, that's where our other platform, which is called Elevator, comes in. So Elevator helps to connect the founders with sources of funding, sources of capital. And that's something that I guess Mr. Lars here was mentioning as well, is that funding is important. Funding is important. I mean, you have to be properly funded in order to be able to have a chance to succeed. Otherwise, you run out of money and that's it. So, and funding can come in various ways. It can be crowdfunding, it can be normal direct funding, equity funding, it can be micro lending or micro loans or anything like that. But any of it can really come together to help elevate the chances of a startup to succeed. But in order to reach funding properly, you have to have the right structure, you have to have the right documents in place, you have to pitch and negotiate with the investors properly. And at the global level, which is basically, I guess, Silicon Valley kind of set the standard for the global level. And we help with that. So that's another thing that we do. Thanks.
Great. So I think what would be interesting to know with through FELS and Elevator, what would be a couple of those things to be on the checklist of founders that you've learned interacting with so many globally as well as locally. The Middle East is also kind of booming when it comes down to now scaling global startups, and a lot of people are very, very interested to know how to really scale out from the Middle East and also into the Middle East. So I think your advice on startups planning to grow globally and with specific reference to MENA or MIA, what would be your couple of takes to help them scale better if they're looking at these markets?
Okay, very, very interesting point, because yes, I know a lot of people are looking at, I guess, specifically the Gulf region right now, because it is kind of, there's a lot of capital here and people can see that, I guess. And there are actually a lot of soft landing and market entry programs that entrepreneurs can use to enter these markets and use them as, testing grounds or additional funding places or something like that. A lot of the countries offer entrepreneurship visas. They offer benefits like regulatory concessions or tax concessions, free zones, for example. I'm sure you heard, for example, in the UAE or in other countries as well, in Bahrain, etc., and in Saudi Arabia, of course. Some of them offer even free office space. They offer to connect you with local partners, and the sources from researching all of these options to see which could be suitable for them. But before they do that, my main advice would be that they need to make sure they're actually spotting the right problems in the right communities, and they are solving them by formulating suitable solutions for them, and that these solutions can actually be carried across borders. Because in a lot of cases, the solutions are too specific to one region or one area, and they cannot be really taken globally. That's one thing investors look at when they look at a scaling startup or a growth stage startup, is this solution actually globally, can it be implemented or applied globally? And the second advice, again, is that the startup really has to prepare for the journey of fundraising, because when they scale globally, it's going to cost, and they need the right mentors, they need the right supporters in order to make that kind of transition, and to get funding in place and a good team in place in order to make it happen.
And I think, yeah, very well put. And I think this can be a topic for a full another session sometimes on soft landing on any of these countries or regions to begin with, is because a lot of times, specifically looking at the way startups are, working around specifically in Pakistan and different cities. They're very, very energized to kind of look at soft landing places. They're looking to kind of also look for, like the way you said, like look for an ecosystem of investors and find the right funding strategy. Like as Lars mentioned, Alfan also mentioned, Nikola also, on the fact that humans come first, culture, then you get to, yeah, I want to know how do you feel about our esteemed guests spoke about different kind of spaces and what is more crucial. What do you think that you kind of, and you host a show as well, so tell me how do you see this all coming together with what you do today and the ecosystem of startups globally?
Yeah, first of all, like, thanks for the amazing insights to the startups. I always love that people who really went through this and then giving the advices. Thanks to my colleagues. I myself also can relate to, I grew up in this developing country, a very small one, Republic of Georgia, which is in the middle of Europe. Asia. And as a startup founder, where you are starting in the developing country, in the small one, it's always very far away. And I personally was expanding my startups starting from 2015. The biggest kind of fails I myself did is that I was looking at the neighboring countries, which many of the kind of startup founders making these mistakes. Right away, when you see the expanding, you just look what's next to you, right? But sometimes maybe these neighboring countries won't be the perfect fit for you. In my example, like each of them have so different culture and markets are so different. And at the end of the day, you spend too much of the time in each market. And at the end of the day, you might better spend this time on the US market or any other markets, which might be working better for you. And basically like learning on the fails, and while listening to many people, every startup founder, I totally agree, should first create the teams. I myself, when I invest, also in the beginning invest in the team, and after that comes the idea, if it's on the idea or pre-seed stage. And after that depends like which kind of startup you are building, right? So do you need the regulations to enter the specific markets? Is it software based, or you have to physically go there? What's the time zones, right? So should you have to travel there, or you, for example, like if we are in Pakistan and if we are targeting US, like time zone is so huge difference. Your working style and your employee should be working basically during the nights, or you have to relocate there. So, and then what I found out most interesting in the last couple of years of expanding my recent ventures like MetaViu was that I was testing very actively through different sales automatization tools, different target markets where I would get most of the traction. And then after that, it helped me to, with minimum investment, choose the perfect target markets where I would push them more. After that, like when you are starting in the beginning stage, it's so much intensive, like you really need to have at least like 2 co-founders to start expanding, right? Because once you start expanding, you cannot go deep dive into operations and another co-founder should be taking care of the business. Same thing is happening when you are raising money, right? So one co-founder is fully into raising and you don't have to stop your business. So that's why if I recommend to the startup who are willing just to start, as Lars and others mentioned, start getting the perfect co-founder. I personally never invest in the solo founders. It's huge of the kind of red flag for me. And basically like finding the perfect markets with minimum investment, testing, getting the feedback, and after the pushing hard those markets will be the best kind of advice from my side.
And that's wonderful, because I think what you initially mentioned was something similar to when we from our region try to scale, and someone who's in a developing country trying to build something and haven't really traveled to those markets to begin with, without understanding any cultural nuance that might follow. And I think mentors like yourselves, all of our esteemed guests, are people that, sometimes I tell people just to have a conversation with someone who's seasoned enough to just guide you. And I think this is a great opportunity to talk in, I don't know, 5 time zones right now, but this is crazy. But tell me something, Nodo. So with this, now that you've specifically, mentioned that you can actually look at a market from a far off country and kind of decide of what could be the soft landing or what could be the entry points. What do you usually, the people that you talk to, the people that you work with at Arrival or while you were at Eventor, what do you feel, apart from, because I think our panel has so much knowledge and covered most of it, so we really have to kind of deep dive in the last one. So what do you think, have you learned with talking while on your show or talking to people? What would be a couple of those things that you as a founder would advise people when they're looking to scale?
Yeah. So first of all, like we already covered the topic of getting the good people on board. And next one will be, it's so hard for many founders, especially in the developing countries. We don't have this kind of culture of having mentors, right? For me, it helped me to study in the US to get this culture on my side. But having mentors and advisors, it's so important, right? When you are in the startup founder, you have to be in the somehow in the operations too, and you miss the sometimes like broad picture, and somebody mentor or advisor who is not involved on day-to-day operations in your business sees your business from outside, right, objectively, and giving you good advices. And when you're having mentor and advisor, it doesn't mean that you have to follow every advice those mentors are giving you. You should listen to those advices and see how it can fit with your business. And many startup founders, especially in the developing countries, I'm working with so many of them also, like mentor at the Founders Institute and many other organizations. I try to show them that having advisors is the best thing you can do. And especially at the another stage, having angel investors, which helps you to use their network. So for example, like a couple of the startups I have founded, always coming to me with the questions, can you connect me to this company in this country? I know you have some connections. So use your network, use angel investors or the mentors, and don't be afraid to approach some big guy in your network or LinkedIn for the advice. Actually, we love to share education, right? Because when I was 18, 19, somebody was helping me out, putting their time inside. And now everybody probably in this panel is happy to share the education and then help the young generation to do the better scaling of their startups. And one of the biggest kind of advices will be, don't be afraid, don't be shameful. Just reach out everybody in your network, angel investors, anybody you have, your friends, and get help from their side, which is saving lots of resources and time for you. And when somebody's connecting you to some other people in different markets, it's easier to enter rather than you just like do the cold outreach and etc. So that will be like kind of my last advice. There are so many topics we can discuss, especially with the amazing panel Future Fest combined together. But yeah, I hope we will have other times. And if somebody will be listening, and people who will be listening, don't hesitate to reach me out on the LinkedIn if you have some questions, advices, or if you plan to scale on global markets. Thank you.
I would thank you so much, and I would definitely our audience, I'm sure, would reach out, but I would definitely reach out. And I think what I've learned and kind of connected with everyone's experiences is I feel the world is really small when you're really trying to do something. I never have imagined that today I would be speaking to people with 5 different time zones. I think the world of startups do bring in this passion that I think, in a way that in the corporate culture we do meet up, but the startup culture kind of makes you share information. And a very relatable example is that I've a little incident is that I've known someone on LinkedIn from 2008, in the early days of LinkedIn, and he's a fellow friend of mine who was based in Lebanon, and we never spoke from 2008 till 2023. But one day I realized that he started something that can really add value in terms of going cross border. So we engaged in a small conversation, and we ended up making a platform to help give back to community called Probably. And it was just a call and maybe a match of fraternity of being both from marketing. I think that really resonated well. But before we end up, I would I think we should just gently hang out after the session sometimes. But for the recording, I would say that before we end this, I would definitely want to know your parting remarks for all the participants at FutureFest 2024. And I want for them to take one key takeaway from each one of you so that they can follow their passion of building globally. And I think if you don't mind, I can pick the order in the order that I have pictures in front of me. So yeah, let's start with Nikolai. Nikolai, what do you think one key takeaway for everyone listening to this conversation?
Well, it's to survive yourself with the people who are better and smarter than you at some way, and give them a chance, definitely, like to work as a partners on this. So yeah, many challenges they are facing, and you cannot do it alone. You need to share, sharing is caring. And that would be my one takeaway.
Awesome. Alfan, what do you think? What would be one thing they should remember?
Yeah, I think it's about people. It's about people that you surround yourself with. It's the team that you build. It's the investor, mentor that you have. It's the co-founders that you are going together with. So it's eventually running startup. You need to have the people aspect right, because it's going to be a sometimes difficult journey, and it will be very fruitful, fulfilling. But you need to have the right set of people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah. Sounds good. Lars, what do you think?
Let me try to squeeze 2 pieces of advice in one. I think the first and foremost thing is focus on what you really care about, because you're going to spend a lot of time, energy in something. So please make sure that you work on something that you really want to make a change within the world. And then the second part, stay curious. So also keep learning on what you find, and listen to others and take that in as you grow your business, and enjoy it. Have fun while you do it. It's a tough but rewarding journey.
Yes, I think fun is one keyword we should take to have fun with it. Nodo, what is your key takeaway? One key takeaway, if you were to put it.
Yeah, so from my side, leverage your network. Don't get afraid to ask for help and advice. This will help you a lot, together with the other amazing key takeaways panelists shared. Yeah, that will be mine.
Awesome. So Aiman, now you got the opportunity to conclude all of it. What would be one key takeaway?
Okay, I agree with everything that was said. I think it really comes down to networking and collaboration. So the fact that we have events like FutureFest, that's an amazing opportunity for networking with peers and like-minded people. But then the key is to collaborate with them. So the example that you gave about meeting someone on LinkedIn, approach people on LinkedIn all the time.
Yeah.
Some of them, they don't want to collaborate. They're like, this is mine, this is yours, and I'm not a really big fan of that. I hope people would collaborate more. There's really enough in the world to go around that we can all collaborate, and we can become stronger when we do things together.
Thank you so much. I think this I could go on, but with the restriction of time, thank you so much once again for taking out time for this conversation. I personally feel it's been very, very educational for me as a moderator for the esteemed panel, and I hope people watching this virtual stage would take up very, very good advice from all of you. So thank you so much once again for taking out time. Thank you so much, Future Fest team, and onwards and upwards. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Take care.